Georgia might be adding a elite quarterback to a class coming up who isn't decommitted at all from his other school and not committed to Georgia, but man, he sure likes hanging out at Georgia quite a bit. We're going to be talking about him next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Hello, and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. He's Clint. I'm Daniel. Today's episode brought to you by Nissan. Shop Nissan at nissanusa.com. More on them in a second. So happy to have you here. Thank you for, again, making the Locked On Bulldogs podcast your first listen of the day. It's an off season, but there's plenty to discuss. Spring practice is up and running. We talked yesterday about Kirby, media availability. We learned a lot from the things that he had to say. If you missed that episode, you can go back and listen or watch it wherever you get your podcast or YouTube. But today, Clint, we're going to venture off of this Georgia football team, and we're going to talk about a name of significant interest to Georgia football fans. The name is Juju Lewis, and he is a five-star quarterback out of Carrollton, the Carrollton area, class of 2025. And he is right now committed to the actual USC, Southern California Trojans.
No junior at all in that.
No, the senior USC. Lincoln Riley is he's still the coach there. He did not pass away, unlike some reports would have led you to believe several weeks ago. Lincoln Riley still the coach there. And so Juju Lewis is he committed last August to the Trojans. And he's a five-star quarterback. He is a prototypical quarterback. Again, we don't use the term pocket passer. We don't use the term mobile quarterback. These are terms that guarantee me that you are of a certain age if you use them, because they are dead. They are dead. They're antiquated terms. He is a prototypical quarterback.
Yes.
Very talented kid. We can talk more about that as we go. But the reason we're talking about a USC commit on this podcast, and the reason his name is of great interest, is because, as the old song says, Clint, he's been hanging around this town on the corner quite often, it turns out. Like, he's in Athens
so long.
He's in Athens more than most of us are in Athens, if we're being frank.
Yes.
And he's in Athens more than some UGA students are in Athens, if we're also going to call things what it is. It feels like every dang weekend, this kid is showing up on campus, and he's seen with Kirby Smart, and he's hanging out with Mike Bobo, and he's watching practice. And Clint, how many times can you come to a school before you just go ahead and decommit and flip your commitment over to Georgia?
Here's the reality of the situation. You look at this kid, and he is from Georgia. He's from the South. He wants to play for championship caliber teams. He wants to get developed. He wants to go to the league because, as we know, and Georgia players keep on saying, and this is big, this is Georgia's biggest draw. You can have relationships, you can have championships, but the biggest draw is these guys go ahead and get paid in the NFL after they get developed at UGA, which is
NFL
fantastic.
Is greater than NIL. Kirby
all
Smart.
day, every day, y'all.
Yeah.
And if you look at his size, Daniel, some may say, well, it fits better at USC. He's 6'1", 185. He is athletic, but again, don't confuse things. You have to be an athlete as a quarterback anymore. If you are a statue sitting back there, you don't play football. Like, it's just no longer a thing. And if you look at his evaluation talks about an up-tempo spread offense. Daniel, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, are those terms Kirby uses a lot when he speaks about the offensive system that he employs at UGA?
No, those aren't
No.
terms that he cares for.
No, but at USC, it is. At
Mhm.
Auburn, I actually don't know what kind of offense they run at Auburn, which if they find out, they'll be the
Phew.
first to tell us what they're running.
I'm sure they will.
That
I'm
as
sure Auburn Twitter will let us know.
Auburn Twitter let us know. And also, you might get a random text from a number that you don't recognize telling you all manner of news. This guy
Could be
has
telling
been,
you anything. Good.
um, I think what's really, really crucial for this and why it's really important that, yeah, he's hanging around a lot and he's talking about relationship. He's echoing the words of the aforementioned Kirby Smart in his presser. When he talks, he sounds like a mini version of Kirby talking about values, things that he enjoys at the collegiate level, and what he's looking for in his future team. And I don't hear a great deal at all about California living, about weather, about NIL, about spread offense, up tempo. I don't hear any of that. I hear I'm here to connect with the guys that I love. I'm here to connect with coaches that I appreciate. I'm here to see the culture. These are all the things he talks about, Daniel. And so, yeah, at a certain point, you just wonder, it's got that ticking time bomb. If I'm USC, like, how mad are you of just watching this whole thing take place and being unable to do it? Now, again, he hasn't decommitted, he hasn't declared, but man, it just feels like it's inevitable at this point. And if it doesn't happen, I don't know what Lincoln Riley pulled out of his magic rabbit hat, but it's going to be significant to keep this kid.
It feels like he's not going to USC. I don't know that he's going to come to Georgia, but it feels like he's not going to USC. That's the way that it feels to me. We shall see how it plays out. I want to talk in the next segment, Clint, about Kirby Smart and Georgia significantly closing the most important gap when it comes to quarterback recruiting
Here we go.
that exists in all of college football. That's what I want to talk about right after these.
This week's March Madness Bracket Highlight is brought to you by our friends over at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one of the teams that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest, just like the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys were able to take it to the next level, and that is the Oregon Ducks, or obviously this week's Nissan Rogue. The team absolutely surprises all with a powerful performance in the Pac-12 tournament. Pac-12, Pac-2, Pac-3, who knows exactly?
It's hard to say.
They punched their ticket into the big dance. They say win life, go rogue, and that's exactly what the Ducks have done here. Daniel, do you like the Ducks in the dance?
I do. An 11 seed. There's actually some interesting 11 seeds. As we're recording this, none of the games have happened yet. As you're listening to this, there's a whole day's worth of games that are taking place, but there's some interesting 11 seeds, and Oregon is one of them.
That's right. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, Nissan Armada, and find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. But that's not all, Daniel. We also have our friends over at FanDuel, FanDuel.com/locked on. Say goodbye to the busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tournament, whether you're betting a big upset or a one seed. It's time to go dancing, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if they place a $5 bet and it wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You even get to pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/locked on and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets.
Clint, we talked about Juju Lewis, the up-tempo offense. Like, first of all, that's all nonsense. That's
Thank
just
you.
nonsense talk. The kid wants to play in the NFL.
That's
Clint.
it.
You don't lock yourself into an offense and say, this is all I can do if you want to play in the NFL. Because unless you're Eli Manning and your daddy pitches a fit, you don't get to choose which team drafts you. Like, that's not the way that the NFL works. You go into the system of the team that takes you, and that's what all of these kids are trying to show, that they're versatile, that they can handle the reads and the checks and the throws, and they can do all that stuff. Now, speaking of the NFL, this is where you can like it or you can not like it, but Georgia fans, you just need to accept it. This is where Lincoln Riley, he owns college football. in terms of quarterback recruiting. All right. Like this
Yep.
guy coached Baker Mayfield, #1 overall pick, Kyler Murray, #1 overall pick. And then he coached Jalen Hurts, a benched running back at Alabama that he turned in to a NFL star in his 1 year at Oklahoma. And
That's right.
then for the last 2 years, he's coached Caleb Williams, who is going to be, if not the #1 overall pick, a top 5 pick for
T's and P's to
sure.
the Bears, by the way, because that's going to sink your franchise more. But I digress.
If Justin Fields can't sink a franchise, that's a lot to put on Caleb Williams.
The Bears have sunk themselves, Daniel.
Yeah. You let Brian Urlacher get old, and that's on you.
That's on you.
So you can't argue with that kind of track record, all right? Like, dude's got 4 legit NFL top 5 picks, like top 5 caliber. I know Jalen Hurts wasn't drafted in the top 5, but he's played to that standard in the NFL. His track record speaks for itself. It is the one thing that he can say, well, if you go to Georgia, this is what you're giving up. You're giving up the opportunity to come and play in a system for a guy that puts guys exactly where you want to go. And it is why the most important player to play for Georgia in the last 10 years from a recruiting standpoint,
nothing
is
else.
Carson Beck.
Here's what he's saying right now, because again, Carson Beck has not won a national championship yet.
Nope, he's no Stetson Bennett, and he never will be. There's nothing he could do to elevate himself to the level of lore and valuability to our organization that Stetson Bennett did. It is absolutely just a lock solid word. You just don't argue with it. But from a recruiting standpoint, Carson Beck has the potential to completely change the game in terms of quarterback recruiting. Because if and when Carson Beck balls out this year, he is going to be one of the first 3 quarterbacks taken in the draft next year. He probably won't get taken ahead of Shadur Sanders because of the name, because of the flashiness, because of all of the branding and the media and whatever. I don't care. But he will be one of the top 3 quarterbacks taken. He will likely be a top 10 pick in this year's NFL draft when he balls out. And that is something Stetson Bennett did not do. And that is something that is going to appeal. I think that is the handwriting on the wall that Juju Lewis sees when he hangs around Georgia, when he hangs around Mike Bobo. He sees, well, they might not have had a first-round draft pick at quarterback yet, but there's one right here on campus. Like, I'm watching him practice right now. He is a first-round draft pick. He just hasn't been drafted yet. He just hasn't gone through the draft process yet. It's a huge, significant turning point, I think, in terms of quarterback recruiting for the University of Georgia.
Because right now we have guys in the system. Puglisi asked us how we feel about him. We love him as a recruit. We love him coming in. Asked about Gunnar Stockton. We love him too. Carson Beck's the only quarterback I care about this year. And you can keep all the rest of it, and I don't really care. Again, to this day, if Puglisi comes in and balls out, or
they transfer, they could do whatever they want. Like, we'll figure it out next year. Next year.
Whatever. Have fun. It's Carson Beck. And the reason why is exactly what you described. But the other reason, Daniel, is, again, Carson Beck stayed at UGA, developed, waited his turn, still got the NIL money. Like, do you realize he's getting NIL money with a big old Lambo and all the pizzazz you could ever want.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, he's still...
Pizzazz, is that what the young people are saying, Clint? The young people use the word pizzazz a lot.
Look.
Sorry, we're not in the third segment yet. Keep it tight.
Keep it tight. No banter. He could have gotten that NIL at any other school last year, Daniel, or the year before. He could have had that. Sure. He has it now. So it wasn't like he wasn't looking for it, because he accepted it and he has it. But the development, the continuation, the ability to, like you said, just ball out with Mike Bobo, it's going to be really, really crucial. And the draft stock is, as of today, he's the bona fide best returning college quarterback that there is. There's no disputing that. You ask every industry people who know a thing or two, and they will say Carson Beck. He gets drafted upside that, Daniel, inside the top 10, number one. It's going to absolutely rattle the landscape of it because now Georgia has that Matt Stafford.
What do they have?
Yeah. They have everything. They're going to have the national championships, the best coach, the NIL, the ability to take defensive players and offensive players and get them in prime positions, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. Now there's no more holes in the swing of Kirby Smart. Zero. And y'all done screwed up again. You were stupid and moronic and you let him do his thing. And if he starts pulling guys like Juju, because of the development of what he's able to do with Todd Monken and then Mike Bobo and the elevation of our offense, because it has been a steady elevation. Make no bones about it. First couple of years, we were all mad at Kirby Smart and his offensive system. Every last one of us, we were not pleased. Now we're thrilled, and it's only going to get better every single year. So yes, it is the most important. And I would include Gunnar Stockton into that. I would include Puglisi into that. I would include all of them, because if you can all of a sudden, those guys don't look like, act like, talk like each other. They're very distinct quarterbacks and they're outright.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carson Beck has long been said to be the guy with the best arm talent, whatever that means. I still don't understand what the live arm, whatever, who cares? He just can throw the ball really well. He's long been said to have that. Gunnar Stockton has more intangibles and an ability to run as well as make some reads. But Puglisi is just a dude that is a dog at all ends, fighting, clawing, scratching, and has a cannon. We've seen him be able to just tightrope it in windows. They're not the same quarterback. If Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart can make all three of those guys succeed at UGA, who can't succeed at UGA?
Clint's right. Y'all should have come in here and taken Carson Beck a couple of years ago when you had an opportunity. Some of y'all should have swooped in here and NIL'd him and made him transfer out of this program. Y'all done messed up, and now all of a sudden Kirby learned how to hit the curveball, and so you can't pitch him any kind of way. There ain't no way you could pitch him now. Okay? There's no holes in the swing. He can't. He got an Acuna swing. Like, you can't do anything about it. Okay, so listen, it's a big news for Georgia. We got more to talk about Georgia quarterback recruiting right after this.
But this is, in fact, Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, live games, highlights, in-depth analysis. It offers amazing viewing experience from smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV. It provides access to millions of movies, TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend baseball, college basketball tournament, we're going to watch everything live on Fire TV. Fire TV recently created the TV channels that deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes Locked On, us over at Locked On.
Right. And most you might be watching this right now on a Fire TV channel.
Very well is possible. Fire TV channels let you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more. Keep up to date in all the latest of the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and much more. Not to mention the great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, go to amazon.com/lockedonfiretv.
Clint, where do you want to wrap this up? Where do you want to?
I want to talk about
this plane.
I want to talk about we've two things, and they're going to parlay into each other. We've talked about the evolving nature of Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo, Todd Monken, all the like, to where we are an offense that anybody can come into. We're going to have ETN at running back, the top transfer running back. We're going to have wide receivers that are not looking at us.
Getting Taco Bell runs left
We're going to be,
and right.
That gong going to be hitting, y'all. I'm telling you right now. What I want to talk about is two things. One, I want to talk about the misses we've had at UGA. 2 points of contention of UGA fans. 199, not you. We understand. Loyal third segment listeners.
We're talking about them, not us.
Just the other guys and gals. I want to talk about misses that we've had, and much to the chagrin of wide receiver and quarterback. Why can't we get 5-star quarterbacks? Why can't we get 5-star wide receivers? Why can't they stay? That's the bemoaning fact. Okay. I'm talking about the history of that. And then I'm going to talk about why Juju would want to come to UGA, because he's the number one in the next cycle, Daniel. He's the dude. So why would the dude at quarterback, who we've missed out on, want to come to UGA? So let's go a quick little historical lesson. Justin Fields' experiment, in which we had to plan for a fake punt in a huge moment of a game because we realized that he was going to whine and sulk his way no matter what.
So a 5-star quarterback that we did get.
We got him.
All right. And he didn't stay. I'll talk about why in a second. Keep going.
We can talk about all the 4-star kids we've had, the 5 stars that didn't matriculate because we had to settle for lesser talented guys. Gunnar Stockton fits that. He's not the cream of the crop. He's lesser than the rest of them. We could talk about Raiola, who went
Carson Beck, another 4-star scrub, a guy that we had to settle for. Yep.
Remember that we're just saying things that you all said a while ago. We're just reminding you of what was said. Dylan Raiola missed out on him. We had him in the fold, had him committed, and then he went elsewhere. Vandegrift.
What about that's another 5-star.
5-star. He
third
transferred
5-star.
out. So had him in the fold, had him on campus, and then gone, Daniel.
So why can't Georgia, let me just tackle the first part of your question. Why can't Georgia recruit 5-star quarterbacks?
That's the first question.
Well, they can't.
Oh, so the answer is
so we've just chronicled how in the last 5 years, Georgia's recruited 3. Gunnar Stockton was 5 stars in some recruiting services, by the way. So that would be 4, but I'll just give you 3.
Sure. Just say
Georgia
3.
has recruited and signed and had committed 3 5-star quarterbacks. Now, why can't we keep them? Because none of them have panned out for Georgia.
Well, 5 stars equates to guaranteed wins, don't they, Daniel? 5-star equates
I'd
to
rather
wins.
be losing games driving a Lamborghini. This is my favorite YouTube comment of all time.
Guys, sincerely, this happened. We talked about we would rather win Stetson Bennett.
We'd rather win with Stetson Bennett than lose with a 5-star. And people literally said, nope, I'd rather lose with a 5-star quarterback because it's better for the program long term.
Stetson Bennett is just a Honda Accord.
He's just a Honda Civic, and you just long term, you're never going to win like that. Well, we won 2 national championships, whatever. So there's 2 reasons why we haven't been able to keep 5 stars. Number 1 is because they are scared of competition. That's the Dylan Raiola effect. Okay, so they're scared. They don't like it, and they're scared.
Because kid from Connecticut came in and said, let's sling together.
I'm not scared of you. Are you scared of me?
The answer is yes, he was.
Okay. All right. You called your Uncle Kirk and said, can I go somewhere else? Okay. Let's then talk about the other reason, the Justin Fields, Brock Vandegrift reason. And that is a little more direct than scared of competition. It is because they're not good enough.
You got beat out.
Because they're not good enough to play. That's why the 5-star quarterbacks on Georgia's roster have transferred. Because they weren't good enough to play. They weren't better than the people ahead of them. And for all of you that spent all of that time trying to tell me how Justin Fields was the better quarterback because of some things that he did in an Ohio State system, look at Justin Fields and tell me that he was the better quarterback. Okay.
You can't.
It's recruiting 5-star quarterbacks is not rocket science.
Nope.
Like, they need to know that there's a pathway to the NFL for them.
There it is.
At the school. Georgia offers that. Georgia has that. And after Carson Beck is drafted in the top 10, it's going to be cemented, and even other coaching staffs are not going to be able to lie and say you can't get to the NFL through Georgia because all they're able to do is Stetson Bennett. So that's taken care of. And then all they need to be is man enough to want to compete and earn their spot instead of have it given to them by their literal daddy, who is the coach at Colorado. Like, that's all you need to be able to recruit 5-star quarterbacks. It's like,
it's pretty simple.
Not hard.
So when Kirby talks to Juju, when he's in there, the reason why he's hanging around, he sees this, he understands this. It's not rocket science. I want to go to the NFL. Georgia's on primetime games, the stiffest competition all the time. Kirby is
in the college football playoff every single year in perpetuity now.
Until Kirby Smart retires, because you, again, screwed up and said more teams in. Great. It's going to be the same 4 teams every single time at the bottom of it. Like, I don't really care what you say. Kirby's going to be one of those 4 teams. And at the end of it, Juju knows that GMs are calling Kirby. They're at Pro Day. When Georgia has a Pro Day, is there any team from the NFL that is absent on that Pro Day? Nope. They're all
just
there.
The Falcons.
Well,
had to.
NFL team. NFL team, not amateur.
Oh, sorry,
sport.
An NFL team.
Yeah, not an actual professional organization.
Not the Bad News Bears. No, sorry, not the Sandlot. We're talking about an NFL.
Can we talk about? I just can't with you Falcons fans. I can't. Like, God help your souls.
May God help you.
Juju, again, we're not saying he's locked to come to Georgia. What we are saying is, even as a commit to USC, Kirby is still well within striking distance, and I wouldn't bet against him. I'm not calling the shot, but I wouldn't bet against him. Look out for it. It's been Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day, and we will see you guys later.
See ya.